Whoops. And that's what happens.
Let's see, fall back.
When you're live.
Are we live?
Which we are.
Okay, good.
Yes. This is the Jimmy Doane Show. No editors, no filters, no net, no problem. We do this twice a week live right here on Facebook, Wednesdays and Sundays at 4 o'clock. I'll post a copy up on YouTube with all the subjects timestamped. Copy that over on Twitter, and you can find us in audio format around the web. Search Jimmy Doane, D-O-A-N-E. Share with your friends. Today is the 13th of October, 2019.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Here, anyway.
Yes. What is going on?
Couple of things.
D.R. Doane.
Okay, what's that little red flag?
Well, that is Hong Kong.
Oh, okay, Hong Kong.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay, because I don't think I have much on Hong Kong.
We got something. We got a little something.
Okay, good. All right. Well, a couple of things. Tomorrow's Columbus Day.
Aha!
Interestingly, not for everybody. Well, I mean,
not for the Colombians.
not for no, that's right. Not for the Columbusians.
The
Columbianites. Yeah. Goodbye. More states jettison day paying homage to the explorer.
Mm-hmm.
This guy, the only thing I got here is his last name. You know, when I cut these articles out, I cut bits and pieces, so I don't have everything.
Right.
This guy named Lente later learned that the Italian, apparently he was a big guy in New Mexico,
right.
Fan, but he's learned about the Italian explorer who set to find out the trade route to Africa, landed in the Bahamas, never set foot on what would become the United States, and he concluded that Columbus led genocide, rape, pillage, and death. He tried to extinguish.
What's a little genocide?
Yeah, right. And he tried to extinguish
Italians,
large native population. Now, what's interesting? This guy's from New Mexico, where they got like 27 tribes out there, something.
Okay.
And so they constitute, I think, around 20% of the population of New Mexico.
Okay.
Now, about half or 3/4 of New Mexico is in Albuquerque.
Okay.
As big as the place is. So anyway, he's a second-term Democrat in the state. More than a tenth of residents are American Indians, and they successfully sponsored a bill ditching Columbus Day, and they were trying to name it New Mexico Day or Friendship Day, but instead, as some other states have done, they're calling it Indigenous Peoples Day.
Uh-huh.
So that's obviously a thing for the American, for the Native Americans, previous Native American. Celebrate with Native American dancers, speakers, arts, food at the Indian Pueblo Cultural Center in Albuquerque. But to Mexico, another guy, William Scherer, a Republican who opposed the change, said it's a slap in the face to all Americans. Well, I don't think so. You know, it's New Mexico, okay, and hardly all Americans. But he has no problem with creating Indigenous Peoples Day. But he wants scrapping Columbus. Look, it turns out that's an anti-American holiday now.
Well, where's Amerigo Vespucci Day?
A lot of them. Well, I mean, there's a lot more to this story. You know, there are a lot of people are talking about Columbus as evil, rapist, horrible, whatever it is. There's a couple of things to consider about Columbus that were kind of interesting. First of all, I think that even he knew that there might be a land. How can I put this? His calculations were so far off. Everybody knew about how big the world was. But he convinced Isabella to fund him because they wanted to find a new route to Japan.
Okay.
And they at that time, nobody really knew, except maybe the Vikings, knew that there was a continent on the way there. Mm-hmm. And in fact, it wasn't 12,000 miles, to Japan. It was
24.
20 whatever, yeah, or it wasn't 5,000, whatever it was.
Right.
So of course, when he landed. He was still under the delusion that he had landed at some place where there were Indians, hence the name India, and but never made it to the continental United States in the 3 trips he did. Interestingly enough, you got to ask yourself, why was Columbus sailing that way. And the reason was, I didn't realize it until today.
El Dorado, the city of gold.
that was the Spanish. Remember, now he was pretty much Italian, I think.
Yeah, he was an Italian. He was Genoese.
But he got his money from the Spanish.
Yeah.
Well, they were all kind of incestuous people.
Yeah.
Whatever. But, interestingly
Same
enough,
yacht club.
what you have to realize is that for the previous many centuries, 5, 6 centuries, the Turks, or whoever they were, the Ottomans, that empire stretched all the way from Istanbul or whatever, all around Syria, everything, and across North Africa. And basically, they controlled the route to the east. And so, what they were trying to do was say, well, screw you, we're going to go the other way.
So he was racist.
He was racist, for sure. And that's right, and homophobe, whatever.
Right.
But the point was that the incentive to go the other way, and if I suppose if the Islamist empire or whatever it was at the time, which was huge, hadn't been there, nobody would have ever discovered America.
Aha! So we can thank...
So what we can do is, we still can thank Columbus.
Right, right. And the Islamists. We owe them.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's the main thing.
Right.
We owe the Islamists for blocking that off and forcing us to find another way.
Right.
So, I don't understand the problem here with the
Islamicist Day.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we are going to come up, that's exactly right. We're going to come up with Islamicist. And so, what's interesting is everybody's talking about the divisiveness in the country, and this is another one of those things. Columbus Day has been celebrated. I mean, it has been forever.
How did we get Columbus Day? I mean, why? What?
It's been forever.
I know. Well, obviously, because
for hundreds of years we've had a.
It must have been because you can't. I can't imagine why any particular state would incorporate it. I mean, we don't have Ponce de Leon Day.
No, but Columbus Day. You think about it. There's as the guy said, there's not a state that doesn't have a Columbia in it someplace.
Well, okay,
South Carolina,
but
or
why?
a county.
The question is why? I mean,
because Columbus is held on the same pedestal as George Washington, because he discovered America, started it off.
But he didn't. I mean, it was Amerigo Vespucci, and then it was the Vikings, and then the people, like you said, didn't make the mainland.
Well, nobody,
Ponce de Leon.
Florida
was.
Well, but they had already known that. See, the thing was that after Columbus showed up, that's when the Magellan and all those other people started to say, "Wait a minute, we're going to go now." Now that and it's like this guy that just ran the 4-minute mile.
Right.
Marathon.
So he paved the way.
He paved the way, right. Once you realize it could be done, as somebody once told me, when Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, it was like in the next week, 4 more people did it.
Yeah. And now it's like
once they realized it could be done. And the same thing with Columbus, there's somebody, nobody knew what it was, obviously, but he came back, made 2 or 3 trips, and then, as I say, at that point, the Spaniards decided, because it was by the Spaniards, and of course the myth was there's gold in them there hills,
right,
or on them there islands, or whatever.
All they had to do was run into one Aztec wearing some jewelry, and
totally. I mean, that's really, and that was it. And of course the Aztecs made a slight error, because in their mythology, somebody a white guy riding in on a horse was supposed to be God.
Whoops.
Yeah, and something.
Big mistake.
Yeah, big mistake. And so and of course the other thing that they had, just a slight digression, the society was totally top down, and it was like the head and everybody else. Cut the head off, the whole thing falls apart immediately.
Yeah, apparently so. Well, I'll have my one trivia point added, and that is when Ponce de Leon claimed Florida, he meant all the contiguous land.
Oh yeah.
So that was the whole United States at that point.
Okay.
And Canada and everything. It's all Florida to begin with.
Yeah.
And then it was narrowed down after that, and Florida got smaller and smaller.
Right.
So
they
stole it from us.
That's right. Well, there's a lot of people that want to hack off the Panhandle because it's in a different time zone for one, and of course the people out there, it's
ours.
Huh?
It's ours.
Yeah, right. Well, it's kind of red out there. Yeah. And I don't mean commie red. I mean Trump red. Yeah. So anyway, it turns out that Maine and Vermont also are going to have Indigenous Peoples Day this year for the first time. And of course, one of the big fights. You know what the big fights is? is when you have Indigenous Peoples Day, the big fight that eats up hours and hours of time in the legislature is, where do you put the apostrophe? I mean, is it people?
People's S.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's the fight. Is it people apostrophe S,
right,
or is it people's S apostrophe?
Yeah.
Oh my God. They get
I can see.
Strump and Wagnall or whatever.
That's right. Call the top men, the top grammar experts.
That's right. The grammar. No Nazi, no grammar for you.
Mm-hmm.
Soup grammar Nazi
That's
person.
right.
Okay, so I just think that tomorrow banks are closed, and the government's going to be closed down. Good deal.
All hail Columbus.
That's right. All hail Columbus.
Slave owning, whatever.
Yeah, but I mean everything. It's just interesting when you think that how many things are named after Columbus. I mean, lots. Almost every state has a county. Almost every state.
There's a couple of capitals. There's Columbia and Columbus.
Columbus, yeah, and you're right. Cities all over the place, roads,
right,
everything you can imagine. No, it's just good luck on ripping all that up. So anyway, moving along.
Pull them all down.
That's right. Yeah. Well, another statue.
Mm-hmm.
We'll burn Columbus in effigy.
They're doing it somewhere, I'm sure.
I'm sure they are.
Tomorrow.
Here's a legal thing I need from you.
Okay, guilty.
Okay. Well, interesting. You should mention that. A 9-year-old arsonist.
What?
Charged with first-degree murder.
Whoa.
In a mobile home fire that killed 5 relatives, including 3 toddlers, all for the children, and his mother insists he's not a monster and just made a mistake.
Right.
So the 9-year-old apparently was playing with matches or something, and it was in a mobile home, which they're like
right,
tinderbox, right? From Illinois, has been charged with murder in connection with it, killed most of his immediate family, and has spoken out for the first time, saying the child suffers from a mental illness.
Oh, geez.
And not a monster. So, again, I don't know why he was left there with a book of matches. But anyway, she said sole surviving child was charged with 5 counts of first-degree murder, 2 counts of arson, and 1 count of aggravated arson, after allegedly intentionally setting his family's mobile home ablaze. Mm-hmm. So I don't know how they get that part out of it, but...
Yeah, well, that's when you're aggravated and you start arson right there.
Right, exactly, yes. So anyway, the sister of the mother, I think, who wasn't there, says she wants to see her nephew sent to juvenile detention and eventually to prison. And if convicted, he could be placed on probation for at least 5 years, but not beyond the age of 21, and would likely receive counseling. He will not be imprisoned during a bench warrant. So the interesting thing about this that I thought was that one of the people said he needs to be in prison right away forever because he knew what he was doing. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, even if you're 9 years old and you did it on purpose,
right? Well, right, and what your instinct is dead on and is in line with 500 years of common law.
Okay.
What they did, common law realized, and then common law, for what people don't know, is that's the law that evolved in the courts as people brought complaints to the judges. So this is learned men going over and over minute variations in the law and coming up with
this is like after the Magna Carta or something, or maybe even before. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean maybe even before. It's just case law precedent. I mean, I'm sure there was some things before that, but the courts really. Anyway, it's just good stuff,
okay,
basically. And 2 of the things that have been in place for a long time is, first of all, they decided that you shouldn't have any criminal liability if you're under about 5.
Okay.
And it used to be, I think 7 was the rule, and that was, look, like you said, this is a job for the parents. Mm-hmm. The kid, at the most, you get a swift spanking or something, and then you get sent to your room without your dinner or something. That's it, because there's nothing else you can do. And it's because, as you said, intent is a very important aspect of criminal justice. That's what you're trying to dissuade, is bad intent. That's what you want to do with your justice.
But what if he intended to do it?
Well, that's what
at age 9.
Right, but see, what you recognize and what the law recognizes is that there's a period of time between 7 and about 18, where your mind is still forming. And so you're going through changes on a yearly basis, if not a monthly basis, in terms of your understanding of the people
totally,
around you and society and those kinds of things. So it's understandable that you would not have learned right from wrong yet in the real context of things. And so the law treats you differently, treats you as a juvenile. And it says, look, you have like, there's a period, in Florida what we do is we say, up until you're 18 years old, if you do something horrible like this, you can get charged with the crime and convicted of the crime, but your sentence ends when you're 21.
Okay.
So what they do is they can imprison you in the worst place possible or whatever and keep you there until you're 21.
And then what, you're out free?
Yeah.
Okay.
And,
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, and so and there's virtually nothing they can do about that. If you're close to 18, and I've seen it pushed down low, but
I've seen it charged as an adult when they're 14.
I've seen it like 11.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, which is sick in my opinion. That really, there's no way an 11-year-old is thinking like an adult. I could see you
now,
making a case.
16-year-old.
That's right. I could see
What's
you
her
making
name?
a case.
Greta.
I could see you making a case for a 13-year-old, really, but.
Mozart.
Yeah, exactly. Making a case. You know, this is if somebody planned out this entire operation or whatever, and they did it for these purposes of hurting these people, and it all, you could see that kind of a case. But, and this may be that kind of a case. We don't know any of the facts of the arson itself, except for the fact that he's 9.
Right.
And so what you do in this case, and I'm sure this, whatever state it is, probably has the same.
This is, what is it?
Did you say Ohio?
Yeah, I think so.
And so what they'll do is what I
Illinois.
said. Okay, so they convict the kid, even if he did it intentionally, but you get it's on your juvenile record.
Okay.
So it all sort of
Well,
gets
it's
wiped
interesting
away.
because I remember, I hate to say that, I don't know who doesn't know, who doesn't remember back when you did something when you were 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 years old that was really stupid.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I remember, for instance, when I was playing with matches at my grandma's house, and I set it turned out that there was a straw mattress, and I thought I had put the match out. Well, it turns out that what happens with a straw mattress is it burns a little tiny hole, and then the straw just sort of goes, it smolders. Well, I came back in the room, an hour or two later, and saw this was happening. Nothing was bad then. But one thing you don't want to do is pour water on it.
Oh, is that right?
Oh my God. Boom! I mean, it just goes, because I don't know why exactly.
Right.
But Granddad came up, and he was really pissed. And I was 9.
Right.
And he threw the thing out the window. But it could have been a lot worse than that.
Right.
And and of course
But
I was
everybody
playing,
realizes-
and of course I came downstairs and said, I didn't do it. I was lying through my teeth. I mean, but my point is,
Right. It's
I
a cover-up.
I can absolutely relate to this.
Right.
To a large
Everybody can.
Yeah,
Everybody who's
that's
been a
what I'm saying.
kid and everybody who's been a parent can relate to the concept of you really didn't know the consequences of your actions.
Right.
And so the law takes that into account almost all the time. And
Okay.
it's super, super rare.
Well,
that
we have another one here that's kind of fun.
Yeah, there are a few criminal justice things I have today as well. So
Okay, well I got one more.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to move on. In Kansas, a 13-year-old girl who pointed her finger,
Yes.
shaped like a gun, at classmates is charged with a felony.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, it gets better. They hauled her ass off.
Yeah.
I mean, she what happened was another student asked her, "Who would you kill?" And she
Right.
goes, "Pooh, pooh,
Right.
pooh," and then she turns it on herself.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so this happened, and and what happened was apparently
Some adults lost their minds.
well, what they did is somebody reported to the school resource officer,
Right.
who is what? A deputy sheriff.
Right.
He's we're talking about a police person.
Right.
Okay. And after administrators are alerted to a potential threat, and so the resource officer is the one who arrested her. And the school is saying, we had nothing to do with this, we don't know. This was
Right.
This is the resource officer.
Sure.
And according to Cassidy Starr, the girl, she was having a discussion. What 5 people would you kill?
Right.
I mean, well, how about 6 people, 4 people, whatever.
Right.
Whatever. The girl responded,
They arrest her on 5 counts, or?
yes, well, it gets better. That an individual felt threatened whoever it was, there was somebody
And an attempted suicide.
right. Online so they used the school's online anti-bullying app to alert administrators.
Right.
And then the administrators told the cop, and the resource officer, who's employed by policemen, interviewed both students and affirmed the actions which constituted a potential threat. Okay,
Right.
wait a minute. And so she was arrested by the resource officer. And of course, the school people said, we didn't have any. That's the resource officer problem and so forth. But they are. I don't know what they're charging her with, but they hauled her off to jail.
Yeah, I think they just charged her with. Well, actually, I don't know. Whatever it is, it's stupid. This is way beyond the pale. This is way beyond strict enforcement. This is
a finger. And
Right.
I would kill. She's 13.
Right.
And
Now here's the thing. It'll get thrown out when they get to court.
okay, it will.
Yeah, it has to, because there are.
She's not going to be stuck in juvie.
No. This whole thing will be thrown out. The problem is that it'll still show up on her record that she was charged with a felony.
Now, don't they seal those records?
Well, that's what they're going to have to try to do.
They seal the records.
Exactly. They're
Yeah.
going to have to seal it off in her juvenile record, and then there'll be a sealed thing in her. It's just a pain. And like you said, right now, or however long she sat for 24 hours, or
Right.
got
No
the lesson.
trauma there.
Right. Well, okay. I mean,
Oh, come on.
It's bad.
She's hauled off by a guy with a badge and a gun.
right.
Jail.
She's 13. Yeah, from school. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, what have you learned from this? Yeah, I'll tell you what I've learned from this.
Trust authorities.
Right. Exactly right.
Well, exactly. It's really this is so far over the top. It's alarming. And what can you do? The only thing you can hope.
What I'm going to do? Okay, I'm getting my AR-15. I'm going to Kansas and I'm going to blast those.
Right, exactly.
That's what
yeah,
I'm going to do.
Don't say
Whoops.
that.
Shit, I probably shouldn't.
Yeah, seriously.
Let me get out of here.
But so what I was about to say is that there's an element of availability, ability to commit the crime that comes into attempt. Like if I say I'm going to blow up the whole world, okay, everybody knows that's not going to happen because
Watch me.
Yeah, well, because there's no bomb big enough, and so there's no present ability to do that.
What if I said I had a bomb big enough?
Well, I mean, you start to get a little bit closer, but I mean that's still real far away. But what they're implying here is that this girl had a gun, was thinking about using it, and was actually telling people how she was going to use it. Now, if she happens to have a gun at home,
Well, she wouldn't at age 13.
Well-
but if one was available, if one was available. Oh, you mean like she had a little hunting rifle or something?
no, I mean if she actually had one, like a stolen pistol or something that she had got,
okay.
or something she got for
So
trading
are they going to
drugs.
get a warrant
She's
to
a
go
juvenile.
search her house?
Probably. Yeah.
So they knock on the door, the cops, everybody,
Right.
resource officers, and they have a warrant to search your home. And the parents are going, what?
Right. Well, see, this is what I was about to say is that what I said once is that once it gets to the judge, it's going to get thrown out.
Okay.
See, the warrant is another thing would have to go to the judge.
Ah,
for.
okay.
So if they try to go to the judge and say, "Judge, we want to search this home," he says, "What are the facts?" And they say, "Well, she pointed her finger at some other kids." Hopefully, the judge is going to be like, "Wait, what?"
Wait, what?
Yeah, like, and then get out of here. I'm going back to golf or whatever. But
Next case.
yeah, and so that's all. Fingers crossed about this. But I can tell you this: you remember the guy who got charged with disorderly conduct, walking by the other person's house on the sidewalk?
Yes.
a couple months ago.
And pointing the gun, yeah.
Right. He appealed his case, and his case was upheld on appeal, which means he was still convicted of the disorderly conduct for doing that.
Really?
Yes. Now it's a little bit different situation because I think what they're doing is they're using a subjective test for the quote unquote victim. That is, would a reasonable person in the victim's position assume that this guy on the street walking by had the present ability to do something about this threat?
Okay, well, now the guy was a neighbor, right?
Well, that I think comes into play to some extent, whether you knew the guy or not.
Right.
I don't think that they had any deep personal relationship. He might have known who he was or where he lived in the neighborhood, but I think he obviously convinced the judge, I believe, that that he had reason that he had a reasonable reason to fear the guy, which to me is just I can't believe, and the appeals court as well. But I mean I don't know the technicalities of the case, so maybe they blew it in some other way. But still, it's a little bit alarming when you see this kind of zero tolerance stuff like that. It just goes off the rails, and you hope that this poor girl doesn't, God forbid, get convicted of this somehow in some bizarro world.
Well, you know,
a world that would make bizarro go.
I have seen in my lifetime, you know, the as it goes into more and more bizarro.
Oh yes.
It's like you know, it's a world like Who Shot Roger Rabbit. You know, there's people, and then there's cartoon bizarro land.
Well, exactly. This is another one of those just weird ones. But there's some pushback. Like, for example, remember the guy who was arrested for killing the other guy for the parking spot in Tampa? They had a little gun battle out in front of the 7-Eleven, and the shooter claimed stand your ground. And everybody went up in arms because it seemed pretty obviously like the shooter shot the guy. There's like a video of it.
Okay.
And everybody was like, see, stand your ground is racist and it sucks. And this guy is going to get off because of stand your ground. And where he clearly just shot the guy. He like provoked an attack and then pulled out a gun and shot the guy as the other guy was walking away.
Yeah.
Well, he got 20 years.
Okay.
So the stand your ground, as I keep trying to tell people, it does not expand self-defense in any meaningful way. In any way that you think would get your client off. Trust me.
Yeah.
If you're a defense attorney and you think you're going to get your aggressive client off using stand your ground in Florida, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You have to be in a defensive posture.
Right.
And
it has to be meaningful. That's right. That's for sure. Well, so did the other guy have a gun? The guy got shot dead?
I don't think so. What happened is I think the guy who got shot pushed the other guy down to the ground, like the.
Oh right, yeah.
And they pushed him down.
And so they shot him from the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like I said, it was clearly an aggressive move. He was not in any danger. The guy was walking away from him, and he killed him. So he gets 20 years.
Yeah.
So
good.
I got another couple of law enforcement ones if you want to
go for it.
Rail them all. There's a statutory rape case maybe gone wild. It kind of looks like it at this point, first glance. And that was these 12 men were arrested because these two girls have been apparently turning tricks and going into this. Where was it? Oh crap! It was I think it was a school. But now I can't remember. It might have been like a college. Yeah, that's what it was. That's exactly what it was. The girls pretended to be college students and memorized teachers and had a schedule and everything, and then they hooked these guys, and the girls turned out to be 13 and 15 years old.
Okay.
So they've charged 12 men with statutory rape.
Okay.
So this is one of the situations where it's like the men did not intend to rape anybody. I mean, they thought they were buying a legitimate service.
Regular hookers.
Right, exactly. Now, I don't know if it was legal in that area, probably not, but it could have been. It could have been an area. But it doesn't matter. The point is that intent is very, very important. Because if you punish these guys for something that they didn't intend to do, then the next time around, if they're not intending to do something, there's nothing for them to affect. There's no way to avert your behavior from something that you didn't intend to do to begin with. Mm-hmm. You can be more careful. You can be not there, but at some point you have to exist. And if you're not intending to do something, then getting punished for doing it doesn't do any good for society. Right. And this is another one of those examples. And then my last. A lawsuit. This is actually a good thing. Some New Jersey cops are suing their captain over a quota system. They were told you have to write these tickets, no more warnings, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, okay.
And if you can impound the car and get the tow money and that kind of stuff and the fees. And so the cops are actually suing the station because they felt pressured into meeting this quota for revenue purposes. Right. So interesting.
Well, you know, it's one of those things. Of course, even around here, you gotta believe that there's an unwritten quota law.
Well,
everywhere.
maybe so. Maybe
I mean,
so.
I mean,
This one got a little bit too explicit.
Right, a little too explicit, because around here, you can imagine if you're a trooper on Florida Highway, for instance, and you come back. Look, you go down I-75, everybody's doing 80. I'm sorry, that's and so you pick a couple of them out from the herd,
right?
Or and you give them a ticket.
Easy pickings.
Yeah, easy pickings. I mean, let's face it. And so, fish in a barrel, whatever. So the deal is, though, if the cop is sitting there saying
it's kind of irresistible cash.
Well, but I mean, if the cop has any kind of conscience at all, and so the traffic is moving along very nicely.
Right, exactly.
It's 75 is the speed limit. They're all doing 80.
Right.
No big deal. There's no reason to go snag anybody. So you go back to the station day after day after day and say, there's nothing. Well, guess what? You're out of a job.
You're fake.
You've gone. Bye bye. Yeah. So if you want to keep your job, you gotta go along. So, and I don't know if it gets closer. Towards the end of the, I remember down here when they were down here at the end of my street, they set up it's kind of cute because they can set up a little radar station, and they have a couple of cops and a motorcycle, whatever it is. And this particular street down here is one that looks like it should be 100 miles an hour.
Oh yeah, it's 1 mile with no side roads.
Nothing, zero, and it's very wide, and everything.
Flat, straight,
and
1 mile.
The speed limit is 35.
Yeah.
When for millennia,
speed limit is 10
it was
miles
45
an hour down there.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like.
Yeah. So anyway, if you go down it, if you go down there at 41, 42 miles an hour, they get you. So what I do is when I go down there and I see them down there, I roll down I punch down my window and I say, look, it's
you want to arrest somebody? Take me.
No. Yeah, right. Yeah, smart. Here's my gun. No. So anyway, so it was like one time it was the 15th of the month. I said, it's not even the end of the month yet. What is the problem here? You haven't met your quota? What's going on here? Well, yeah, I'll tell you. That kind of
They love that.
They love it. Yeah.
that.
I call them. I said a little revenue enhancement day.
That's right. They love it if you make fun of their motorcycle.
Well, I'll tell you. But it's funny because they do. It was interesting. They have kind of smiled at me and said, "No, we're really saving lives here." But of course, one time I went down and I parked off to the side somewhere, and I was walking down there to kind of chat with the guy, and I happened to be in the road. Now there's nobody there.
Right.
And he says, "You need to move off the road here. You're blocking traffic." And I'm going, "What?
Yeah.
This is or I'm going to arrest you."
Right. That's an order you around thing. So just for our listeners, never do that. Never ever interact with the police on purpose. That's you're asking for it. Did you see the woman this week that got shot in her own home?
Yes.
I
saw the video.
Oh, I didn't see the video.
Oh, the video was, the video was, put your hands up, and then almost immediately the shot rang out through the window.
Jesus.
Through the window.
Yeah.
And she had been playing cards or something with her nephew or whatever it was. And of course the first thing was, I feared for my life, it was the other one that they use. And, but he's on administrative leave. She's dead. The nephew now doesn't have an aunt, so forth. So apparently there's been quite a bit of an outrage. Oh, they did. Oh, here's what it was. They went in the house afterwards and they found a gun. Mm-hmm. Not any. I don't know where. It wasn't in her hand or anything like this. Believe it or not, they found.
She was armed.
Well, apparently they took a picture of it,
right.
And it was like in a drawer or something.
This one, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that they will actually come back and convict the cop on this one.
Really?
Yeah.
It was 18 months he'd been in the business.
Too quick, from what everybody is saying. I didn't see the video.
I saw the video, and I can tell you, you can hear, and then it cuts off pretty quick. But basically, you can hear him say, "Put your hands up," and within fewer than 2 seconds, you can hear the crack of, and one shot, bang, she's dead through the window.
Unless she in
a darkened room.
Yeah, and unless it turns out she was holding something that looked identical to a gun.
Yeah,
and
her nephew.
And was a gun.
Yeah.
Then I think that they may come back on that one. But another crazy. I mean, this is a little bit different and hopefully and a lot less a kid's school. There's a big movement called Farm to Schools,
Okay.
where they're trying to get kids to eat healthy foods and whole vegetables and fruits and stuff.
Okay, yeah, I see.
And so they've been actually having the kids grow some food
Okay.
as a little exercise
Sure.
and whatever. And so in this one particular school that's at the forefront of this, they started eating the food, the kids, and really liked it. So
Yeah.
they decided, hey,
Fresh.
So they said, hey, let's have a little kids farmers market up next to the school.
Lemonade stand.
Exactly.
Okay.
Your papers, please. Your papers. You
Oh,
kids,
my
that's
God.
right. Your papers are not in order for your farmer's market. Yes, and so they shut it down.
Oh, my
That's
God.
right. Angela Redding, city manager, said it was a safety issue.
Of course it was.
Right, it was a safety issue. Can't have the kids out there. Look, if we change the ordinance, she says, then that means every person in the residential area can set up a farm stand, and we could end up with one on every corner.
And the problem.
Well, like A, yeah, what's the problem with that? But B, how ridiculous is that hypothetical?
Yeah,
Everybody's gonna run outside with their
Well,
card
not
table.
only, yeah, that's right. And they always do that. They say, well, what if everybody did?
Well, that's
what they did.
That is the reasoning from our most hated case.
Our hated case.
That's right.
And of course, my answer to this was Wickard,
Right.
which is decided in 41 or
Yeah,
when
42 or something.
41 or 42, when the wheat farmer who grew wheat on his own property,
Right.
and they arrested him under the Agricultural Stabilization Act,
Right.
and said because you're raising wheat, you are affecting interstate commerce.
Right, even though none of the wheat left his farm.
None of the wheat left his farm. It was only for his own use.
Because if everybody did that, it would affect the price of interstate commerce.
Well,
It
yeah,
was the most-
but the whole point was, I mean,
Well-
if everybody did it, everybody have wheat.
Well, look, I realize that, but it's even worse than that. It's the logic involved in that. That's like Clarence Thomas pointed out in one of the cases that if everybody did a bake sale every weekend, then you would affect the price of baked goods.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that gives Congress the authority to regulate bake sales, which of course is ridiculous. And it just goes on and on. He went into marble games or all these different examples where if you use that logic, the tenuousness of the impact, and that was one of the early legal standards that was required for Congress, which was this. I'm trying to think of the exact legal words. It wasn't continuous and systematic, but it was substantial ties. That's what it was.
Substantial ties.
Yeah, to interstate commerce. It couldn't just be loosely related to interstate commerce.
This is not even loosely.
That's
related.
what I mean.
This is like not related.
No, it's like imaginarily related, you know. But it used to be. They had a hard time regulating the railroads in the early days, even though they crossed interstate lines.
Right.
And they finally decided, well, that's probably interstate commerce. But that was a while into it, and then that case made it all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. So
Interesting.
That-
Because nowadays, as you well know, if you make a phone call to your neighbor next door, that's interstate
Oh
commerce.
yeah. Well, like I said, after that they got the railroads, they were kind of off to the races.
Oh, yeah, they were.
Yeah, and then
That's what. Yeah, they bankrupted them. Okay, so anyway, let me move along here.
yep.
We're going to move overseas.
Okay.
To Syria and Turkey.
Aha.
Turkey's President Erdogan, he's launched an Operation Peace Spring. Now you remember the Arab Spring, but this is he's Operation Peace Spring with airstrikes targeting the Kurds in Syria and killing two
It is
civilians.
Operation Clean Slate is
That's
what
right.
it is.
This is unbelievable. And of course, what happened is the Americans withdrew slightly, but apparently some of these attacks have come real close to the Americans.
Yeah, well, I've heard accounts that they're bracketing the Americans.
You're right.
off
They're
or
bracketing,
whatever.
right? Anyway, but Turkey has launched a long-awaited military assault on Syria, with airstrikes targeting ISIS and Kurdish fighters who claim two civilians have been killed. Whatever. Okay, so but he said announced that this is in a bid to bring peace to the area.
Yeah.
By targeting Kurdish fighters whom Ankara, the capital of Turkey, regards as terrorists.
Right.
So here we got these terrorists over the border there in another country, and they're basically another ethnic group or whatever, and we're going to make peace to the area. This is our peace bomb. I mean, this reminds me of
Peace bomb.
It's our peace bomb. You know, it's just They used to, when they would have the big bombs in the Second World War, they would write stuff on the bomb before, and I would imagine, here's peace to you or something.
That's right. Peace be with you.
Peace be with. I'm sitting there. It's
Look, this is the question. All this mess is exactly what we predicted when we told everybody not to go into Syria to begin with.
Right.
Because when you go in, you are a power structure, and then when you leave, that power structure collapses. There's a vacuum, and something has to happen. So this is totally predictable. Everybody saw this coming a million miles away, and now it's either going to happen now or it's going to happen later.
Well, see, the neat thing is the reason why this keeps going on. A lot of people don't realize there's a couple different brands of Kurds. Kurds. You understand that the ethnic Kurdish group is on about 5 different countries.
Yeah.
It's around.
Yeah, they don't have their own.
They don't have their own country.
They just live in Syria and Turkey and Iraq, I think.
Yeah.
And maybe Jordan. I don't
Something
know.
like that,
Yeah.
right? It's when you see it's pretty good sized area.
Yeah. There's a lot of them.
But they're different ones. It's kind of like when they have the Shiites and the Shamolians or whatever.
Sure.
And
well, it's
so they're
500,000 people or something. It's a lot.
Well, the thing about it is they're differing people. So you get the bad Kurds and the good Kurds.
Yeah.
And eating her Kurds in way or something. What Little Miss Tuffet sat down her muffet. Or
What? So okay.
So my point being that I don't know how you differentiate on who you're killing this time, and I don't know what we were doing there in the first place. And of course,
well,
we were stabilizing. And of course, what immediately happened was our warmonger people, Graham and other people like that, came up and said, well, "You're leaving them to die." You just
look. The reason we're there is because this whole thing grew out of the last conflict that we were in.
Right.
And everybody was worried about ISIS now because of the last conflict. Because and look, it all goes back to Afghanistan and Iraq and those invasions and our people being over there. And this is all the predictable splintering and just the myriad trickle of violence that is going to reverberate through the area for a while because of what we've done. And at some point, you either got to end it and get out, or you got to take over and be done with it. And it's look, you either do one or the other. Look, people have conquered territories before. If you
you generally speaking, you like to conquer something sort of contiguous.
Absolutely.
I mean, I can see maybe conquering Mexico
or Canada. Yeah.
But for us,
you're on the list.
Yeah, that's right. And anybody that speaks English north of our border, you're on our list. So anyway, but I think that
I'm not advocating them taking Afghanistan, Iraq. I think it's a fool's errand. I think
well, here's the deal. You think they're ever going to stop fighting? I mean, they've been fighting for what, millennia?
I think within 500 years they could stop.
I agree with you on that.
And so, from my perspective, that's one of the areas that we should not be involved in. That's a foreign entanglement, like by definition.
Yeah.
It's like putting troops into Congo or something. What are you doing?
You grab the tiger by the tail. Now, how do you let him go?
That's it. Well, and that's exactly what
racist.
Well, yeah, that's exactly what they did. They got in there, and so it's going to be messy if we ever want to leave.
Well, the one thing that you do find, of course, when Lindsey Graham and some other people, our local warmonger neocons here, think that we have to stay forever.
Sure.
And everything, and of course.
Well, as soon as you lose somebody in the conflict, then you've got blood invested in it.
Right. Well, not only that. This is what's great. Because this is what's great for our arms people. Because the neat thing about arms is, the thing that's great about food, for instance, is you eat it, and so you have to go get some more. But arms are like, these are really expensive food. I mean, these bombs and bullets and guns and everything are multi-thousands of, if not millions of dollars, and you're blowing them up.
And you can chew through them real fast.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, when you sit there and think a round, some of these rounds, they're like $1 or $2 each.
Yeah.
And not to mention the transportation, everything. And I mean, the arms people must be loving this because they're on both sides. And so there's going to be, you get to sell to both of them, and of course they're up there in Congress saying to the local, their lobbying groups are saying, don't get out.
Right, and of course that's part of the entanglement, and that is
Right.
we provide arms to Turkey.
Right.
And I'm sure we have provided arms to the Kurds in the past.
Oh, no question. No question.
And so, it's a mess. It's a mess. Now, the good news is the Kurds have been defending themselves for thousands of years.
Right.
So
apparently these are what we call battle-hardened people.
yeah, and apparently, from what I saw in the last series of battles, they seem to be the toughest group in the area.
Right. That's what I've heard.
They survived. That's all you have to know, is that they pulled through when everybody else was against them. Now, Turkey has a gigantic army,
Right.
which is interesting, but we'll see how much effort they put into going down there. I mean, I don't know. Erdogan's been pretty aggressive against his political opponents, obviously.
Oh yeah, he's a dictator like the rest of them.
Yeah.
I mean, this is one of the things that's great. If it wasn't for that NATO base we've got there, I would think that we're not going to withdraw, but we should.
Yeah, well, like you said, but again, that comes down to strategic positioning there.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the generals and whoever.
And of course, Erdogan, because we got the NATO base there, he can do anything basically. And what he's done is he's gone and bought some Russian anti-missiles.
He's sort of our black sheep of NATO.
You got that right. I'll tell you.
No racism intended. But anyway, all right. Well, so
America's good intentions in Syria have led to this dismal outcome. This is continuing on. Recent U.S. policy in Syria, from the moment that the former U.S. Ambassador Robert Ford showed support for the Syrian protesters in 2011, this is what have been good intentions that were mismanaged through conflicting policies. So anyway, a new crisis will unfold in eastern Syria, and an area that was liberated from ISIS. But of course, they're now saying that ISIS is going to come back, in the whole vacuum thing again.
We'll see.
And many are expressing feelings that the U.S. betrayed its partners. What gets me is we've betrayed everybody. I mean, no, seriously, when you think about it, we were buddies with Osama bin Laden. We were buddies with Saddam Hussein. No, seriously.
I know.
When he was going in to fight his over there, we gave him.
We were trying to get better than that. We were trying to sort of evolve into a, hey, you can trust us, where the United States were good.
But then we went and killed him. Libya. What's his name? Omar. He went. He said. Okay, no more atomic for me. I withdraw. Here's all my stuff.
That's right.
And then we decided, and then ended up killing him.
Yeah.
And of course, that's as if nothing else, Kim Jong-un has taken a lesson from this.
Right. And now he gets to look at this and the Kurds and say, oh, guess what? Backstabbers or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what everybody's saying. But here's the problem. The problem is that whenever you enter into unsustainable, non-infinite conflicts,
With no exit strategy.
well, that's what I'm getting at. Is that it's just this is part of the pain that comes along with it. It's like this is what we were talking about when we said don't go in.
Yeah.
That it hasn't worked yet. That's what we're talking about. Is this particular type of pain. And I've heard people say, well, what do we get out of taking our troops out of there? We got it's potentially American lives. So I don't see
Guaranteed American lives.
Exactly.
Come on home. Let's and hug your wife and children and mom.
That's right.
And forget. The thing I think about is I've been going through, as a slight aside here, I've been going through the Hagar cartoons for about, there's hundreds of them, and I can't find the one that I love, that this actually pertains to what we're talking about here. Hagar and Lucky Eddie are sitting there, look at this castle, and they're figuring out how they're going to get it. And Lucky Eddie says, well, what are you going to do? And Hagar says, what we do is, here's my plan. We run in, we grab the loot, and we escape. And Lucky Eddie says, tricky. And I mean, but he had an escape plan.
Right.
I mean, that's the whole point. He had an escape plan.
Yeah.
These guys don't have any escape plan.
No, they didn't think they needed one because I guess they're just okay with leaving
But
people.
you could look at
way.
history
Well,
and see where we're still in the Philippines, for God's sakes, from the Spanish-American War. I mean, what are you talking about?
Oh, but we made the Philippines into an economic powerhouse. No.
You got Duarte over there killing people. In the streets.
Yeah. I'm with you. There's a limit to. They overextend the foreign policy when we invade foreign lands that we don't intend to keep. You don't go in and take land that you don't intend to keep. That is part of the. If you're going to spill blood to take a patch of land, you want to be keeping it, and that there's a lot of momentum behind it. That's all the people. Even Crenshaw, one-eyed Crenshaw, is upset.
Who?
Oh, this is one of the famous.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Senator or representative, I guess.
Yeah.
And you'd think he would have learned the lesson.
Right. He lost an eye.
Exactly. Yeah. No, he's like no, or dishonoring the boys, or it's like, whoa.
Well, at least Tulsi, isn't she? She's one.
No, I think she's upset also.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think
I
she
heard.
is.
Okay, if you say, I need to go look that up because I heard.
Yeah, which makes sense to me because she's got brothers in arms over there.
She might, but she's seen it happen. I thought
once you're committed to it, you're like, okay, you're in. I mean, once you take that leap, and especially if you take the leap and then you lose your best friend in the leap, you're definitely going to believe in that strategy after that.
I need to go look that up. Okay,
we'll see. Maybe not.
We'll see. So anyway. It says the larger context is that the U.S. has been seen as abandoning one group after another in Syria, reducing American influence, which is, okay, yeah. I don't care about that.
That's not the larger context. That's the smaller context.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, moving on.
Yes.
As long as we're talking about shitty happenings, this is really good.
Okay.
A new AI toilets will scan your poop to diagnose ailments. What?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, see the segue here?
Oh, okay.
This is perfect.
Great. Science update.
Well, it sounds weird, but it's coming future. Your toilet paper, this makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Because they've done a lot of biome. You know, in the last 10 years, they didn't even know what a biome was 10 years ago.
Right.
That's your stomach, guts,
yeah.
stuff, and everything. A million different kinds of bacteria that are all symbiotic. It's just stunningly amazing. And the communications and so forth. A company called, anyway, your toilet will be your mini doctor, which is great for healthcare when you think about it.
Yeah.
This is fabulous. Developing a smart artificial intelligence-powered toilet that will reportedly be able to diagnose your state of the health and risk of disease by analyzing your bodily fluids.
Probably
and
test you for drugs, too.
Could be. You know, whatever. I don't. But it's private. You know, it comes out.
Sure, it is.
Look, you just disconnect from the internet when you take a poop.
Yeah, that will be illegal.
Yeah, right. The little voice comes out and says, "You have disconnected."
Exactly. Why would you disconnect?
Why would you do that? Major goal of this technology: analyze bowel movements to recognize for signs of health issues, and also do your urine test.
Another thing I've heard is that they're apparently making a lot of progress with getting. With training dogs to sniff out diseases.
Really?
Yeah. Huh. They can smell cancer and stuff like that.
Really?
Yep.
Boy, I'll tell you, I'm behind the curve on that one. Dogs can smell a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And they work in, well, the AI diagnostics is one of the big hopes because
you got to you think about it for a second.
The database.
They've got a probe on Mars that is analyzing, looking for life or whatever it is, all kinds of chemical stuff in the little pot on the rover up there or whatever it is.
Stuck in the crust there.
Well, that one's stuck in the crust, right? Yeah, we talked about that. But the other ones, one of the first things that they do is they put a little scoop and they put it in this little thing and they put some fluid and then they analyze it. Well, God, if you can, and that's a $40 billion whatever it was sent to Mars. How about a $50 one sent over to my house? And you would know. I mean, this is when you get off as you get off. Well, wait, I got it.
You're in trouble.
Wait, no, but it's even better than that. What you do is you don't need toilet paper anymore because the readout comes, out of that.
Oh, right, prints out the readout.
It prints it out. This is perfect. No, I'm telling you, this is great stuff. I'm thinking this is going to be when you go get toilet paper at the Office Depot, and the reason is it's printer tape. It's printer tape. That's right. So anyway, that'll be good.
All right.
Anyway, they're talking about liver, kidney disease, liver disease, and diabetes and stuff. So, and I think this is really great because this could way reduce. You talk about the efficiencies of what. Let me put it this way: when the government gets involved in anything, the price skyrockets. But this is the kind of stuff that can bring it down.
Oh, yeah.
Markedly. I mean, dramatically. If you can, now they've got the smart watches. They got, where you can actually do they now have, I forget what it was. I was listening to Kim Commando. She has a show, an hour or two show every weekend. And she was talking, somebody had asked about what was the best smart watch. And she said it was the Fitbit something $200 one, and apparently it does quite a bit of stuff, not just heartbeats. And
originally, they were hoping that it would be able to predict afibrillation and things like that, and detect and report. And,
coming.
Yeah. It's
I mean, when you think about what's in this thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it knows. It knows if you've been bad or good, or been good for goodness sake. I mean, just about it.
Well, the molecular analyzer, that's the big one.
Yeah.
And maybe a spectrometer, to the extent they can get those very well refined. You could have a spectrometer on your phone that, like a scanner, like a freaking tricorder.
Yeah.
That it is such a micro. It pick up such minute fluctuations in color that it might be able to detect.
See, now that would be kind of cool when you think about it, because you see this on the they got those LED projectors now. You've seen those where you can hitch up to your phone and put it on a wall.
Oh, okay.
The projector, and it's the light, and they're pretty amazing. I mean, the LED used to be those projectors that would have like 5 lumens or 20 lumens or whatever, and they were like $5,000. Now you can get like 500 lumens, which is for I don't know what they are, $100 tops. Or
Okay.
So now what you do is you have the scanner thing, and it does your MRI. So
well,
whatever, like the like Doctor. They start off pretty large. On Star Trek, it's a little bloody thing, so that they wave over you.
yeah.
Okay, forget it. Another legal thing for you.
Okay.
I'm gonna move. Oh shoot! Okay. I don't know about that. We're coming here. We're coming here to the end. Let me just see if I've got something else.
I got something real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Why don't we go to yours? I got because I wanted to talk a little bit about the Brexit, but I don't really need to.
Yeah, that's coming to a head soon.
Yeah, it is. Yes, very soon.
Yeah. We'll get to that. That can really be summed up in one sentence, which by saying that there's still a chance that Boris may get to have a no-deal Brexit.
Yeah.
If the Parliament...
they're going to meet, they're going to do something they've never done for 50 or 60 years. They're going to meet on a weekend, starting on Saturday, for 7 days to try and hash this all out.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
What was your thing?
Well, my thing was about California and the power blackouts.
Yes, I had that too. So
Okay.
let's move along and let me see what I've got on that.
Yeah. Well, hey, I can bring us to here. I could. And this is. Oh, there it is. Okay. Well, maybe that's not so.
That's the blackout. Okay, cool.
2 million suffers. I mean, this was an amazing blackout situation with no warning. Basically, they didn't tell us 6 months in advance or anything like that. And from what I've been reading about it, it looks as though there are a few private companies out there that were basically in bed with the regulators in 6 different ways.
Oh yeah.
And the regulators were...
Boy, surprising, huh?
Yeah, exactly. This was the most heavily regulated. They told them what they could charge and where, all kinds of stuff, and all different environmental things, and basically the whole system is bankrupt.
Right.
And so here they are doing now blackouts in California.
800,000 people are.
I saw 2 million.
Okay, they said there's 800,000 customers, but when you realize that there's like 8 people living in a house.
Oh, okay, right.
So
okay.
there are 2 million people.
Okay.
But I mean, this is easily. But what I thought was one of the reasons why they're doing this, don't you?
To prevent wildfires. That was the announced reason.
Yeah. Okay. No.
Coyotes.
No. You have to understand that some people's whose houses burned down sued the crap out of P&G.
Right.
And so this is supposedly to avoid the lawsuits.
Well, sure.
Yeah, that's I mean that's the whole thing. You know, we're taking some proactive
The
action.
problem with that is that there's a certain amount of proactivity that is looked at as guilty avoidance.
Okay, maybe, but I'm saying, you know, they're caught. You talk about caught between a rock and a hard place, and it's all government stuff. First
Well,
of all,
that's the
you set
problem.
up all these regulations.
Right.
I have to do it this way, and the next thing you know, fires break out all over the place, and the next thing you know, I'm being cut the pantsuit off of me,
Right.
and so now I'm going to do something to try and avoid the suits, and the next thing that's going to be more. I mean, what the, you know, oh, what a web we weave.
Right. And so the solution is obviously, I know you would suggest the same thing I am, which is free the market up.
Absolutely.
These utilities, sell them all off, let private actors come in and do something.
Get rid of the utility board.
Yeah, exactly.
That bureaucracy has got to go.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to it. You know, go get a real job.
Yeah. I mean, there's no excuse for California, which has a gross domestic product of $3 trillion, to have blackouts in 2019, like Venezuela or something.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And the thing is that without competition, they are still using ages-old technology, and that is what you eliminate when you have these.
Well, the
government
ages-old
enforcement
technology
operations.
they should use is Tesla.
Yeah,
You know,
right.
He has the power to everybody.
Man,
Come on. That's okay. Well, maybe not. Speaking of California, of course, the other great thing is they're doing. California's governor says he will sign a new law on Tuesday that caps the rent increases for some people over the next decade. The country's most populous state deals with a housing crisis. Wait a minute, by capping the rents. Okay, this is rent control,
Right.
which has a
Always
100%
Always works.
failure rate. 100%.
keeps the rates low.
People
And what
can't.
doesn't happen is people don't rush in because it's cheap.
Oh my God! So anyway, I mean, so he signed the bill, and it's they documented a 43% increase in homelessness over the last couple of years, and this is going to. I can tell you right now, it is now going to be 53 and 63% homeless with your capping. This is the law of unintensive. This is what I call the 180-degree law.
Yeah,
It's going to be.
Well, it's amazing that they don't seemingly adhere to. I mean, I guess they believe that their economic theory is beyond basic economics somehow.
Well,
they think that they can.
They think they
limit
can
the
repeal
supply.
gravity.
Huh?
They think they could repeal gravity.
Well,
I mean,
don't know
this
about
is
that.
nature. No, this is nature. The fact is that there are scarce resources, and economics, you have this, and if you hold the price down on something, you get less of it,
They get snapped up. Just like it's like the shopping mart shelves in Venezuela right now.
Right. Well, not only that, the other thing is if you hold the price down on something, it disappears.
Mm-hmm.
And we had our gas crisis. Then
Yeah.
you had the big lines. 'Cause-
Right. Well, how about the story right before this? They tried to hold the price down on the utilities.
Right. And they're doing the great. Seriously. And of course, there were. This was years ago, not that many years ago, where there was a huge scandal because people were artificially rigging. The utilities could charge depending on who needed. As you shifted the electricity around, they'd have these giant rooms where somebody would call up and say, "Yeah, I need 100 kilowatts by in the next 10 minutes." Okay, well that's going to cost you, and they were making a ton of money. They had a big thing. This was part of the Enron thing, I think,
Okay.
or whatever. Yeah. So anyway, that is the only other thing I know, and I don't know if this is California or not. Now, there's a whole bunch of other things that I'll have to say for Wednesday. But the thing that I really liked was thousands of tarantulas are emerging from the ground in the San Francisco Bay Area looking for mates.
Uh-huh.
Now, this is every year, about this time, this is not unusual, this happens every year. Male tarantulas come scurrying out, and the females apparently just hide out in their hole or something, and the males, compete.
Makes sense.
To make perfect sense, right? I mean, because the females are putting out, I guess, their little pheromones or whatever, and of course, what's sad in a way, if you know about this with some insects, praying mantis come to mind, and the black widow spider comes to mind. Why is she a widow? Because she eats her goddamn mate after the mating. Yeah, no, I'm serious. And so that's what they said is they're so much in love that they're willing to die.
Perfectly natural.
Perfectly natural, yeah. That's, like me. Okay. So anyway, it says, even though the male tarantulas often meet their demise at the fangs of their spidery lovers. So I think that's fun. So anyway,
I wonder what the frequency is. It says often. Like, some of them get away?
Yes, no, some do. Okay. I do know that, I know that with the black widows, they have a special, or with spiders in general, because the male is like, the females are big, males are small, and they get on the web, and they play it like a guitar. They pluck it, in different things to kind of seduce the female.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and then they go mate, and the idea is to haul your ass out of there right away, and you don't, because before she comes out of her trance,
right,
and your ass is, and then get your head
food.
Yeah, right.
Well, okay. Well, I'm going to take us real quick to Chinatown and Hong Kong, where I just want to say the NBA is in China, of course, and my advice to them is shut up and play ball.
Right. No, they're right.
When
I was reading through all of this stuff, and it is, when you deal with a totally different culture. I mean, this is...
And you go to their backyard.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
You do as they do. If you don't like it, don't hang out there.
You know what they say? You win in Beijing, do as the Beijing do.
Just kind of be cool. Look, and it's not like, I mean, we're spreading the capitalism because it's our guys over there. It's the TV coverage and that kind of stuff. That's what's going on.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
So I mean, that's what's at stake. So what's a bigger influence? Our exposure of the Chinese to the NBA and all of that, and this games and all this kind of stuff.
Nike.
Or our guys having to not say anything about freedom. Like, you don't have to say anything about it.
Yeah.
You're doing
play
it.
ball.
Exactly.
That's right.
So do it, and then if you gotta say something, speak when you come back.
Yeah.
That's all.
I mean, and it's bad enough when you come back here. I mean, you saw what happened when you take a knee, although he's still getting paid by Nike.
Yeah, well, he's super celebrity in 6 different ways and everything, but you don't want to do that while you're over there.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't want to squint your eyes and say, "Oh, I don't. We play ball here."
Bad. Even this little flag here would probably get us banned from
that's right.
From China.
Well, that's good. We can use that. We can use that.
We're cool. We're good. We're good, China. And then let's see. I think I might have had one final thing. Well, let's see. We can skip that for now. I had to say this too. I guess is did you see the craziness in Ecuador?
No.
So they stopped the gas subsidies, the fuel subsidies.
Really?
Yeah. Ecuador had big fuel subsidies.
Okay.
To lots and lots of people.
Okay.
And then they just stopped them. So this is a lesson in what happens when you rely on one source for your prosperity, and especially the government, which can change things on a dime.
Right.
So it's literally riots in the streets, curfew in Quito for the first time since the dictatorship, 1970. It's like they're losing their minds.
Really?
Yeah. Mostly indigenous peoples and I guess.
So what are you telling me, that they have suddenly pulled the plug on the control market and now it's going to a free market and people are pissed? Which would make sense. I mean, if you've been held up, it'd be like if they cut off Social Security, for instance.
Exactly. In one day. Yeah. And that's exactly what it was.
Okay.
They just decided, look, we can save a whole bunch of money.
Of course, the other thing is, will it work out? I'm confident that if they stay out of the way,
yeah,
it'll work. It should work itself out just fine.
Well, it probably will ultimately, but just the fact that they created this distortion is going to cause this unrest right now. Right. So it's unfortunate, but that's where we're at. So, all right, I'll save everything else for later.
Yeah, I got a bunch here. We'll corral this in on Wednesday.
Didn't get to my science update.
Well, I missed my sex robot update. Which is really a big deal.
Oh yeah.
Well, the sex robot and Bernie Sanders, I missed. Had stuff.
Well,
in
we've
the end.
done him a lot too.
Yeah, no, but I had
The other thing I had with the Giuliani, those 2 Ukrainians arrested. You
Yeah.
saw that? That was weird. That was just weird.
Like,
What are they doing picking up? The timing is weird. Like they had.
Here, one of the things is that the Trump derangement syndrome people are going nuts, and they're throwing everything on the wall, and so
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. This Rudy Giuliani is a regular, respected lawyer in the United States, for all intents and purposes. He has lunch with a couple of guys who go to leave the country, and they get arrested. The timing of like a few hours after they have lunch with Rudy. So here, the question is, were they going to arrest him whenever they got to the airport because they were expecting them at the airport anyway? Or did they arrest him because of something that happened at the meeting with Rudy? And that's it's like...
I guess we'll find out. We'll keep you up on this, folks.
Yeah.
And by the way, so make sure you like us on wherever we are, Facebook and on the YouTube. Tell your friends.
On the YouTube. So, I'm Counselor Curtis. This has been the Jimmy Doane Show. Thanks for joining us, Scott. Kenny. Love you, sir. Appreciate it. We'll see you guys on Wednesday.